Welcome in now, Trish Regan, host of Trish Intel. Great to see you, Trish. Thanks for coming back with us.
Hey, great to be here with you, John.
So, we have a responsibility, right, to cover these confirmation hearings like they're serious news events here. But based on what we've heard this morning, it's hard to do that. And the question is a simple one. Can she get a fair, confirmation hearing, considering all the baggage that these Democratic senators specifically are bringing to this hearing?
No, the simple answer is she absolutely positively cannot. And that's a travesty. And it's just, she's a victim of the circumstances in which we now live, which have become, frankly, just overly political. And so she won't get a fair hearing. She'll get confirmed. They have the votes to do that. But, it's going to be a bumpy ride along the way. And I'm told through sources that she's strong and she's ready for this. And willing to sort of take whatever's dished out. I mean, don't forget, they can dish out a lot. Look at what happened to Judge Kavanaugh.
Right, and this was 3 years ago. We just played the clip of her, confirmation hearings for the Circuit Court of Appeals. You notice you don't hear her name come up from any controversial decisions she made while she was a judge on that particular body. It's only when she gets nominated for these positions do Democrats start to get nervous about where she stands on certain issues of the law.
I mean, look, she's a strong woman. She's a conservative woman. She has a textualist interpretation of the Constitution. This is not what they want. They have a very different view of where the world should be. And the scary thing now, frankly, John, is I do think she'll get confirmed. It perhaps will not be as bloody a bath as what we dealt with Kavanaugh. Nothing could quite be as bad as all that. But we now run the risk that they're going to try and, if they were successful in gaining the Oval Office and in the Senate, and I think that's a huge if still right now, if they were successful, they're going to try and pack the courts. And that just sends us down a path from which we cannot return, frankly.
And the fact that they're, Joe Biden specifically and Kamala Harris this morning, she was asked about it again, they're so unwilling to answer this question directly really shows you one of two things. Either, Joe Biden's flirting with the far left flank of his party and he's going to disappoint them immensely when he gets into office should he win, or they're serious about this court packing issue and what could come as a consequences of that, I don't think really has been explained properly to the American public, at least not from the Democrats, because they're not being intellectually honest with their voters.
Yeah, isn't that true? I like that term, intellectually honest, because I feel like we're really missing that these days. If they want to be intellectually honest, then they should admit that this would be a really horrendous thing to do to our country. Our separation of powers is something that has really made us, right, what we are in so many ways, that combined with capitalism and all that freedom. But really, I mean, you can't talk about something like this, just throw it out there for fun. I mean, it's like, I'm sorry, but Nancy Pelosi the other day with the 25th Amendment. I mean, just throw these things out there.
They just throw it out there, and she knows, either she knows or she's forgotten that it's completely not going to happen because it takes, support from the Senate. And the other thing, too, that just happened a moment ago, Joni Ernst, the Iowa senator, she really pushed back on Democrats for not allowing them to define womanhood as they see it as, and that's really what they're doing here is, it's not just, Joe Biden saying you're not black if you don't think like I do. It's women who say you're not the kind of woman I want to follow if you don't agree with me on when it comes to these issues on abortion.
I've never understood that. I've really always kind of resented that because I consider myself a free thinker that is entitled to her own opinion. And by the way, I'm someone who's very much a champion of women and have worked my entire career and have 3 kids and believe a woman, she's entitled to do whatever she wants. And for anybody to look their nose down on it because she has a certain opinion or she chooses a certain career, I'm really sorry. I have no tolerance for that. It's really, it's sad to me to see, but really they've sort of corrupted, if you would, the term feminism. I mean, feminism should stand for believing in equality of men and women, and who doesn't, right?
Right.
I mean, but they say, no, we own that term. You can't be a feminist because you have conservative views on this, that, or the other. It's really unfortunate and it's not right. And listen, there's a lot of conservative women out there that believe very much in the freedom and greatness and equality of all women and all people. And so for them to kind of own that term and say, no, you can't be part of our club, it's not right.
No, it's not right. Let's take a minute here and listen. Kamala Harris is now speaking, so let's hear what she has to say.
The United States entrusts the Senate with the solemn duty to carefully consider nominations for lifetime appointments to the United States Supreme Court. Yet the Senate majority is rushing this process and jamming President Trump's nominee through the Senate while people are actually voting, just 22 days before the end of the election. More than 9 million Americans have already voted, and millions more will vote while this illegitimate committee process is underway. A clear majority of Americans want whomever wins this election to fill this seat, and my Republican colleagues know that. Yet, they are deliberately defying the will of the people.
It is interesting, Trish, to hear Kamala Harris talk about the Senate Judiciary Committee's solemn duty after witnessing the way they handled the Kavanaugh confirmation hearings the last time around.
In 2017.
Yeah. And the idea, John, that she's saying it's illegitimate. I'm sorry, it's not illegitimate. Americans
It's constitutional.
elected the president. Yes, then they elected the Senate, and this is their job. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry you didn't get your way on Garland, but you know what? They didn't at that point have the Senate, so it did become political at that point in time. And look, the reality is, it's what's expected. And I would just add that we kind of need a full Supreme Court just in case this becomes hanging chads on steroids, right?
The other thing too, you know, you hear them talk about this being Ruth Bader Ginsburg's seat, you know, like as if it is, you know, designated specifically for a liberal justice and not who the president is in power. And, you know, I think about Ruth Bader Ginsburg's own words that the president doesn't stop being president during an election year. That's what she said when the whole thing came up with Merrick Garland.
And she's absolutely right. And so that's why it's really kind of asinine for them to sit there and say, you know, 22 days away from an election, this is illegitimate. It's not at all illegitimate. It's extremely legitimate. It's constitutional. It's what should happen. It's what Ruth Bader Ginsburg, by the way, would want to have happen. And that argument I really find to be, I'll go back to your term, John, intellectually dishonest.
Well, I wish I could take credit for that term, but a lot of people talk about that, a lack of intellectual honesty, and we see that so often now from our politicians. You know, I wonder, Trish, why Lindsey Graham even called this hearing in the first place. Yes, you know, it has become tradition ever since TV cameras were installed in these Senate committees, but it's not required. And considering you and I both know that there was no way that Amy Coney Barrett was going to have a fair hearing during this type of venue, why go through it in the first place?
Well, unfortunately, I mean, I think there's some politics involved in that, too. Yeah. I suspect that, you know, anybody watching this that's a conservative that feels that, you know, the president is entitled. By the way, we elected him for 4 years as Americans, right? So if you believe that he's entitled to that appointment and then you sit there and you watch that, then Lindsey Graham's got something right? Because it's just reminded the world that they think that they can play by their own set of rules. And when they can't, you know, they're going to take their ball and go home and really just be unpleasant in a way that makes it really uncomfortable for this new Supreme Court justice who doesn't deserve that.
Yeah, I know. Considering her qualifications, her legal career, she has to sit there and be lectured. I think somebody pointed out that by people who did much worse than she did in law school, and yet these are the folks making the laws. Trish, great to see you as always. Yeah. We'll catch you on Trish Intel, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Newsmax TV is now America's fastest growing cable news channel. We give you the real news you need. So subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. If you like this video, share it with your friends. Newsmax TV streams live on YouTube for free. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.